All right, everybody, and welcome back. So today we're going to break down a video about BJ Penn. Unfortunately, BJ's been in the headlines recently about some mental health issues. This video is a great showcase that athletes should take CTE as a very serious thing. And while we may not be able to attribute all this to CTE, there's likely a high correlation between the CTE and the apparent decline of BJ Penn's mental health. And if you stick around to the end, I'll tell you a little personal story about BJ Penn when I met him and his brothers. So without further ado, we're going to get into it with Dr. Grande, who's a famous YouTuber and is a licensed mental health professional and counselor. Let's get into it.
Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of BJ Penn. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the incident, then offer my analysis. J.D. Penn was born on December 13, 1978, and was raised in Hawaii. He goes by the name BJ, which is short for Baby J. When he was a teenager, he developed an interest in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. In 1997, BJ moved to San Jose, California, and started training under a retired Brazilian martial artist.
And for those of you that don't know, BJ Penn at the time was actually one of the youngest recipients of the black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's actually the first non-Brazilian black belt to win at Worlds in Brazil. Crazy.
He then attended an academy in Brazil, earning his black belt in the year 2000. Right after this, he competed in the World Jiu-Jitsu Championship in Rio de Janeiro and won gold in the black belt division. He was the first non-Brazilian to achieve that distinction. In 2001, BJ joined the Ultimate Fighting Championship, or UFC. In 2004, he won the welterweight championship in a major upset. Not long after this, BJ left the UFC due to a contract dispute.
And this is one of those times where BJ Penn is one of the legends
lightweight championship
in MMA.
In 2008 and defended his title multiple times.
This was in his heyday.
After being defeated in a fight in October 2011, BJ announced that he was retiring from mixed martial arts. Despite this, he fought again in December 2012 and lost by unanimous decision. BJ sustained another defeat in July 2014, this time by technical knockout. His next fight was not until January 2017, when he once again lost by technical knockout. BJ would go on to be defeated 3 more times: June 2017, December 2018,
that repeated injury to the brain over and over again.
BJ was never given an opportunity to extend his losing streak because the UFC released him from his contract after a video surfaced of him engaging in a bar fight in Hawaii. His record at the end of his fighting career was 16 wins, 14 losses, and 2 draws. In February 2020, BJ flipped his pickup truck in front of a shopping mall in Hawaii. He was not charged with any crime. In 2022, BJ announced that he was going to run for the governor of Hawaii. His hopes were dashed after a defeat in the Republican primary. Some people wondered if BJ's long fighting career did not take a toll on his mental health. Could this explain some of his behavior? This brings me to the timeline of the incident. Starting in early 2025, BJ Penn made a series of bizarre and disturbing posts on his Instagram account. Here are a few examples. On February 20, 2025, BJ wrote about how thieves disguised as law enforcement would steal money. On March 29, BJ declared that CTE is fake. CTE is a serious medical condition which is known to affect athletes who sustained concussions. It is definitely real. On April 9, referring to his family members, BJ wrote, quote, "If I harm any of these people that are acting like mom or my brothers, I go to jail and lose everything. If they harm me, nothing will happen to them and I lose everything," unquote. In a separate post that same day, he implied that his family members were murdered and he needed the police to get these people out of his house. This makes it sound like BJ believed his family members were imposters. BJ displayed photos of family members, pointing out details of their anatomy and questioning their identity. This expands on the imposter component. Maybe BJ believed his family members were replaced with near duplicates. On April 19, 2025, BJ once again claimed that CTE was fake. On May 7, he indicated that he was the only heir left in the Penn family. His whole family had been wiped out. BJ implied that his
So for those of you that don't know, BJ Penn and his family, they have wealth, or they have family wealth, and I think it's one of the big reasons why he was able to get into training and travel when he was younger. But here we see wealth doesn't always have every advantage possible, and especially when it comes to something like mental health or physical health, money can only buy you so much.
On May 12th, BJ implied that his family members were fake. He said, quote, "Blank you to any imposters. They're doing this to anyone else's family," unquote. On the next day, BJ claimed that he had finally found one of the actors who played fake J.D. Penn. Again, BJ's real name is J.D. On May 17, BJ posted a video of himself talking to a woman who appears to be his mother, Lorraine Shin. He kept saying something like, "Even if you were really my mom." In a comment on that post, BJ indicated it was always fun talking to an identity thief. BJ was arrested on May 25 and again on May 26. The events leading up to these arrests were detailed in a request for a temporary restraining order filed by his 79-year-old mother, Lorraine Shin, on May 27, 2025.
So think about that for a second. Think about how much it must hurt for his mom, who's been with him through the rough times. Because when BJ was young, he was a handful. He got in a lot of fights, got in a lot of trouble. So his mom has been with him through thick and thin. And unfortunately, due to CTE and perhaps other mental health issues, she's having to basically call the police to arrest her son. That's I couldn't imagine what she's going through and what the family's going through. That's really unfortunate.
Lorraine stated that BJ had mistreated her. He believed that she was an imposter who killed his family to gain control of the family assets. When Lorraine returned from a trip on May 11, 2025, she noticed many of her belongings had been removed from her bedroom, like clothing, jewelry, shoes, her bed, and personal items. After BJ denied knowing where Lorraine's property was, Lorraine reported the theft to the police. On May 16, she reported another theft, claiming that her purse had been stolen. Lorraine installed a deadbolt lock on her bedroom door and placed security cameras both inside and outside the home.
Wow.
BJ allegedly removed or tampered with the cameras and put glue in the deadbolt, rendering it non-functional. Lorraine said that on Sunday, May 25, 2025, her mail was missing from the mailbox. She later saw her mail in the back seat of a vehicle occupied by her son. BJ denied it was Lorraine's mail, which led to Lorraine making the decision to contact the police again. In order to prevent Lorraine from reaching the police, BJ shined a flashlight in her face. When she attempted to get the flashlight away from him, BJ allegedly grabbed her arms and shoved her against a motor vehicle. Lorraine screamed for her other son, Reagan, to help her. He lived 2 houses away. When Reagan arrived, Lorraine dialed 911. BJ was arrested and charged with abuse of a family or household member. This is a misdemeanor. He was ordered to stay away from the home and released on a $2,000 bond.
And you got to think about this from the perspective, too, of, even with mental health issues, BJ Penn is a skilled fighter. So imagine the damage he could do to his 79-year-old mother in this case. There's not a lot of margin for error when you have discrepancy between size, strength, and advantage.
On May 31, BJ posted on Instagram accusing the government of taking inheritance from what he refers to as prodigious birth. According to BJ, a person from a prodigious birth is someone who does not conform to the shape of mankind, rendering them incapable of inheriting land. At the time of making this video, BJ Penn is working his way through the legal system. Now moving to my analysis. Even though his record doesn't seem too impressive, like suffering 7 defeats in a row, BJ Penn is considered to be a legendary MMA fighter. Many of his losses occurred because he fought far past his prime. His record would have been impressive if he quit at the appropriate time. BJ also attracted attention for having championship reigns in 2 weight classes, welterweight and lightweight. For quite some time, BJ was arguably an ambassador for MMA and increased the number of fans interested in the sport. Unfortunately, by early 2025, BJ appeared to become erratic, bizarre, and paranoid. His mother, Lorraine, said that she believed BJ was suffering from a Capgras delusion. Many other people have suggested the same thing,
I've never heard of that
especially
before.
after BJ's statements about imposters. I don't know if BJ has this condition or not, but one can make a good argument that some of his symptoms align with it. Let's take a closer look at this condition. What is a Capgras?
And this is where Dr. Grande really excels, because unlike a lot of other YouTubers, he goes into the actual mental health aspects with his detail and with his knowledge, as opposed to just guessing at what their mental health issue may be.
Let's take a closer look at this condition. What is a Capgras delusion? To answer this question, I will first explain what a delusion is. A delusion is a fixed false belief that is resistant to counter evidence. It is associated with a number of mental disorders, including schizophrenia.
So I'm going to stop it right there, but as you can see, it really is an unfortunate situation. BJ Penn is a true legend in the sport of MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I was fortunate enough to be able to train with him. So this is years ago, maybe 20 plus years ago, when I first started training Jiu-Jitsu. I don't even know if I'd made it to blue belt yet, but there was a network of schools in the area owned by a local martial arts instructor. And he had the opportunity to come in with his family, with I think his brothers, and train and do a seminar at one of the locations. So this was fantastic. So of course we just got into jiu-jitsu. So we're like, yeah, we want to go. So we trained, we had a good time. He taught us a lot. Most of the stuff I already forgot. It was so detailed. But unlike today, when you go to a seminar, and because of social media, because of the stigma of rolling with others, because of liability, you have a lot of people that won't roll with these students afterwards, right? So normally if you go with a jiu-jitsu instructor, he does a seminar after an hour and a half, 2 hours, there'll be a rolling portion. A lot of them won't even roll these days. BJ Penn and his brothers like, yeah, let's do it, let's scrap. So we all got a chance to roll with him and his brothers, and I rolled with him. And I remember thinking at the time, like, I'd faced some wrestlers, like collegiate wrestlers. They were good pressure and they were tough to roll with, but I could always scramble a little bit, maybe do a little something. But rolling with BJ and his brothers, it was nothing. Like, I had never felt that kind of pressure before, and that's when I first understood that there are really depths to this game of jiu-jitsu. It is definitely something where you have the shallow end, and my man was on the deeper end of that pool, on that ocean actually. So it was a great time training with him. I wish I could have done it again, but unfortunately it looks like the case where his lifestyle has caught up to him, and I hope that he's able to get the help that he needs. But if you have any BJ Penn stories, or if he helped to get you into watching MMA like he did to me, share it below and let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching. Peace.